John Kabat-Zinn, he's kind of the father of the modern mindfulness movement. He has a beautiful definition of mindfulness. And his definition is an upgraded definition, but his definition is that mindfulness is a particular way of paying attention. Mindfulness is a particular way of paying attention. What way? On purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. It's a beautiful definition. Mindfulness is a type of attention that is on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmental. So that's the definition of mindfulness according to John Kabat-Zinn. And John Kabat-Zinn is the kind of we could call him the father, certainly the leader of the modern mindfulness movement. But John Kabat-Zinn has a traditional background. He has been a long time Vipassana meditation yogi. In fact, he studied also with my teacher, Sayadaw U Pandita, the late, great Sayadaw U Pandita, who has actually impacted many of the well-known mindfulness or Vipassana meditation teachers here in the West, but certainly mindfulness teachers. And John Kabat-Zinn actually knows the traditional definition of mindfulness, but his upgraded definition is something that's really nice for us living in the modern life and who we are in our culture. Today I want to look for a moment at the traditional, kind of the classic definition of mindfulness. It's something really simple, but it comes out of the Buddhist Abhidhamma. Abhidhamma has traditionally four, the definitions of all these types of mental states that we're developing in meditation. There's a fourfold definition. It's defined by its characteristic, its function, its manifestation, and its cause. And today I'm just going to look at the characteristic. And the basic characteristic, according to the Abhidhamma, the basic characteristic of mindfulness is non-superficiality. Non-superficiality means that it does not stay on the surface, which means, kind of a more simple way to say it, is that mindfulness sinks. Mindfulness deepens. That's the basic characteristic. That's the basic definition of mindfulness. It doesn't matter if you're being mindful in the moment, or if you're being mindful in your meditation practice, or if you're just being mindful in daily life. The basic quality of mindfulness is that it sinks. If you look out there on the surface, it's not such a bad day here by the sea, but the surface there's some waves there and ripples and it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's really rough, but there's some little waves, big waves, there's some breaking waves, here it's a little foam. The surface is kind of active. The surface is kind of busy. The surface is not really resting, even though it's kind of a calm morning. The surface is not resting, but if you just sit on the surface for a moment and you allow yourself to deepen, things become a little bit more calm, a little bit more quiet at the bottom of the sea. Especially if you go really deep in the bottom of the sea, it's extremely quiet there. And the classic, one of the classic examples that they would give of this, if you take a cork out of a bottle of wine, cork, throw it onto the surface of the sea, what does it do? It bobs up and down on the surface. And that is kind of the quality of our ordinary, normal, waking consciousness, our ordinary, normal, waking mind, is that we're like the cork on top of water, bobbing up and down on the surface. Just think socially. You go out, you say, hello, how are you, what's going on, you're busy with certain things, you're listening to podcasts, you're catching the train, you're driving, whatever it is, our mind is kind of on the surface of things. We're going about our daily business on the surface, more or less on the surface. But the moment you activate mindfulness, it's not like a cork thrown on the water, but rather like a stone. You take a stone, you throw it out to the sea, it hits the surface, and the very next moment, it deepens, it sinks, it sinks, it sinks, it sinks. That's the nature of a stone. The weight of a stone on the surface of the water is that it sinks. It's the same quality when you activate mindfulness. The moment you activate mindfulness, the moment you activate this particular type of attention, that the quality is that it's in the present moment, that it's on purpose, meaning it stays with the experience, it's on purpose, it's in the present moment, it's not judgmental. The moment you activate mindfulness, it begins to sink, just like the stone on the surface of the water. The moment mindfulness slips away or you forget to be mindful, you float back up to the top, just like the cork bobbing on top of the water. That's the function of mindfulness. And any experience that we have, one way to look at it is that this is surface. That we're going to deepen our practice by simply being aware of what's on the surface. Now remember, we're not diving in. The experience will, after some time, it'll be as if you dove in to a deeper place. But you can't dive. Dive is a little bit too aggressive. You can't dive into meditation. You can't dive into being deep with another person. Diving is actually the part of the mind that's kind of superficial, that wants to get someplace. But you have to actually be mindful of that part of the mind, mindful of the desire, mindful of the slightly aggressive energy to dive, and just be present with it, and then you will sink. You will sink. You will sink moment by moment by moment. Just like the stone hits the surface and it sinks. Whatever we can experience, whatever experience that we have in our life, whether it's in the body, a sound, a sight, a smell, or something in the mind, or an emotion or a feeling, whatever, we can actually observe that with mindfulness. We can observe that on purpose, we can observe that in the present moment, and we can observe it non-judgmentally. When we do that, we will seek. We will sink. Everything we can observe it's as if it is surface. Whatever you observe is almost as if it's surface, and you will sink deeper. Whatever you can experience, you can observe with mindfulness. Whatever you can observe with mindfulness is surface. And here's the key to it all. Everything is surface. Everything is surface. Everything is surface. Everything is surface. You will never hit rock bottom. Everything is surface. You can be mindful of whatever you experience, and as if it's surface, your mindfulness is non-superficial. Your mindfulness sinks. Your mindfulness will deepen. And that object that you're experiencing will purify. That negative mental thought, or that kind of frustrating thought, or difficult emotion, or even positive, wonderful experiences, all of these you can surface, you can observe as if you can observe as objects, and just as if they're surface, you will deepen. So remember, mindfulness practice, the basic definition of mindfulness practice is that mindfulness sinks. As you become mindfulness, as you become mindful, your experience will deepen again and again and again, whether you're being mindful with yourself, whether you're being mindful in nature. Experience of the self will deepen. My experience of nature will deepen. And especially when you're mindful with another person, the experience of the relationship between you and the other person, the communion, will begin to deepen and deepen and deepen. Mindfulness sinks. Mindfulness deepens. So remember, everybody, mindfulness is your basic awareness practice. You can do it at all times, in all places, and in all circumstances. It is a universal practice, and the basic quality of mindfulness is it's not on the surface, it sinks. Mindfulness deepens. With that, I want to wish you a wonderful practice, and may your practice continue to lead you forward. May your practice continue to lead you deeper and deeper and deeper, forever and always deeper on the path of meditation.